Girl Scouts and viewers. I'm Heather.
And I'm Julia, and we're coming to you live today for this week's episode of Girl Talk Weekly.
Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Girl Talk Weekly is our newest vlog series created by Girl Scouts for Girl Scouts.
And if you're not a member, no worries. We would love to hear, we would love to have you as our sister in Girl Scouts. I'll drop a link below so you can find more information on how to be a Girl Scout.
We have an exciting episode in store for you today with two very special guests. But before we get into that, we'd like to take a few minutes to share upcoming dates in our council.
Let's get right to it. First up, Girl Scouts are encouraged to keep an eye out on GSUSA's virtual calendar for upcoming events. We have some read-alongs and a badge workshops available for Girl Scouts who want to stay engaged with our programming. Be sure to check out those on GSUSA's virtual calendar page. Look for the link in the comments below.
Our council is so excited to announce the return of Family Days at Camp. That's right, it's not too late to visit some of our amazing Girl Scout properties with you and your family. Families of currently registered Girl Scouts are invited to bring their girl and up to 4 family members from the same household for an exciting day at camp. Our first family day will be on September 26th and 27th at Misty Meadows Ranch. For more information and to check out other family days at camp, just search Family Days on the activities page of our website. The URL is on the screen.
And that's it for council announcements.
And viewers, we will be having a live Q&A session with both of our guests today. So we'll be looking for viewer participation during the activity today. So be sure to engage with us during the show.
Yeah, we would love to hear from our viewers. If you have any questions or want to follow along with us in real time, just drop a comment below.
And with that, I am thrilled to announce our first guest today. Here to tell us more about her recent project is Gold Award Girl Scout, Liv Rubenstein.
Welcome, Liv.
Hi, it's so nice to be here. Thank you guys so much.
No. Now, I know about this project, but for our viewers at home, could you share a little bit more information on what project you're working on?
Yeah, of course. So recently, with the support of the lovely San Jacinto Council, I have started a GSA. For those of you who don't know, that stands for Gay Straight Alliance. And a GSA is really just a great place to meet people with different perspectives, explore your identity, and find out more about like current LGBTQ issues. And so projects that we will be having will be things like a history of pride patch, information about how to confront homophobia for girls when you see it in public, and also training for troop leaders. And this is open to ambassadors and cadets as well as adults. And I think it's going to be a really great experience.
That's really awesome. I had no idea organizations like this existed. What motivated you to start something like this?
So I've always been super involved in Girl Scouts, and when I got to middle school, as I was continuing my involvement, I realized that I didn't have a GSA, I didn't have the same support that I got from Girl Scouts that I did at my middle school. So once I got to high school, I was working on my Gold Award, and I realized, and I was getting more involved in my school's Gay Straight Alliance, I realized that I have this incredible opportunity through Girl Scouts to bring more support and acceptance to this community that I love so much. And I think I had a really great experience with my GSA. It really helped me come into who I am as a person. I've seen so many kids come out to themselves and really be embraced by a community. So I think that everyone should have the opportunity to find that.
Yes, I am so happy to see a project like this take flight. I have actually personally worked with Liv in helping her get the proper resources for getting this started. And I am thrilled to be helping her along the way. So Liv, how can Girl Scouts who are watching get involved with this program?
Okay, so on Saturday, September 26th from 1 to 2 p.m., we will be having an interest meeting. It's going to be online, it's going to be on Zoom. And so if you want to learn more about that, you can register under the activities tab online. And then also you could email either Ms. Vandervoort or me. My email is orubenstein22@sjs.org, right there.
Yes.
I can't wait to find more information on this. You know, civics has always been a cornerstone to Girl Scouts, and programs like this that encourage civic engagement are crucial for our younger girls. Take, for instance, some of our newest Girl Scout badges this year. We've had 6 new badges dedicated to learning about this very topic, teaching Girl Scouts the importance of being involved with the government, and civic helps equip our girls with proper resources to be confident leaders and the change makers of tomorrow.
Hey, Liv, have you worked on any of these badges?
I haven't. I would love to do the Democracy for Seniors, though. One though. When I was younger, sometimes I would only do projects because I just loved how the badges worked. And I'd like to think I've grown past that a little bit, but that's a very pretty badge, so I'm going to have to consider it.
Did you do the cadet common, the one, it's not new, but it's been around, the cadet common ground?
I think I might have. Yeah, that was a blur of a year. Cadet year was.
So, Liv, I have a present for you. So since you're starting our council's first Gay Straight Alliance, I know you're getting ready for it, and you had drawn a picture of a possible patch, and I made it for you.
That's incredible.
Yes, so girls
Thank you so much.
join your organization will receive this patch, and then once you'll have an official name, it will go on that big sign right there. And we can add to it whatever you want, but y'all will officially have your own patch.
That's incredible. Thank you so much. It's beautiful.
Yeah, you made it. So
I love that. That is a really cute patch.
Thank you so much.
Now, Liv, before we are joined by our next special guest for today, we'd love to ask you to stay and join us for the rest of the show. I think you'll be in for a special treat.
I'd love to. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Great. So without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to our special guest for today. Joining us from the Holocaust Museum, Houston, is Amy Ray.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you for joining us today, Amy.
I'm really excited to be here.
Before we get started on what you have prepared for us, could we take this time to learn a little bit more about the Holocaust Museum Houston for our viewers at home who've never been?
Definitely. So Holocaust Museum Houston is dedicated to educating people about the Holocaust, remembering the 6 million Jews and other innocent victims, and honoring the survivors' legacy. So we use the lessons of the Holocaust and other genocides to teach the dangers of hatred, prejudice, and apathy. So we are currently open. So we're taking precautions for COVID-19. So we're requiring masks, we're doing social distancing, but the museum is open. So we hope that you can come visit us. And if you want more information, you can check out our website, which is on the screen at hmh.org. And if you want to learn more about some of the events that we're having, you can check us out on social media. So this is Bonyak Center on Instagram and Twitter right there on your screen.
Oh, that sounds great. I know a lot of schools visit the museum on field trips, especially in middle school and high school. What's new for those of us who haven't been in a while?
So there's a lot that's new. So first of all, the picture on the screen here, there we go. I got it. I figured it out. So the picture on your screen is our brand new expanded museum. We just opened this last summer. So we expanded our exhibits, we added new exhibits, and we're really excited about the fact that we now have a permanent gallery talking about human rights, because part of talking about the lessons of the Holocaust is talking about human rights and really connecting them to things that are going on in our world today. So as part of that push for talking about human rights, we just opened a brand new temporary exhibit that's absolutely wonderful called Mandela Struggle for Freedom. So this is an exhibit about the South African activist and political leader Nelson Mandela. So Mandela, he fought against apartheid, which was a system of white supremacy in South Africa. And this exhibit follows Mandela's many years of struggle from his time in prison and all the way to his election as South Africa's first democratically elected president. It's a really interactive exhibit. we would love for you to come see. And I know that Liv mentioned that she's having an interest meeting on September 26th. So after you go to that interest meeting, we would love to have you at the museum. We're having a Human Rights Expo on September 26th all day. And the museum will be free for everyone. We're free for students K through 12 all the time, but we're going to be free for everyone September 26th. And you can come see the Mandela exhibit for free and learn a little bit more about human rights organizations in the Houston area that are doing some really amazing work.
Wow.
I know you invited me to the museum this past summer, and one of my favorite. I haven't seen that one because that one's brand new, so I can't wait to come back and check it out. But you got to refresh my memory. Y'all did a really great 3D live man, and you can ask him, and obviously it was a video, but it was so extensive that you could literally talk to him and ask him questions about the time of being alive in the Holocaust, and he can interactively answer your question. I was so amazed and totally impressed that something like that could even be in a museum.
Yeah, that's New Dimensions in Testimony. I guess it's Dimensions in Testimony. It's not quite new anymore. And it's really amazing. So a real Holocaust survivor was filmed answering more than 1,000 questions about their experiences. So it uses voice recognition. You can ask a question into a microphone and the algorithm thinks and it will give you the answer from the video. It's really incredible. It's designed because people realized that our survivors are passing away. And so this is an opportunity to still have that conversation with a survivor and really have that personal conversation.
Cool.
That was an incredible exhibit. I loved it. Now, Amy and the Holocaust Museum Houston are longtime partners of the Girl Scouts of San Jacinto Council. Amy actually led some of these programs for us this past weekend on civics as well. Could you tell us a little bit more about some of these programs for the Holocaust Museum Houston has offered with Girl Scouts?
Sure. So we've offered badges in the past. We've done badges like Finding Common Ground that was mentioned earlier. We've done public policy. One of the ones we did last weekend was Science of Happiness. But last Saturday, we did Inside Government, which is one of my very favorite badges to do. It's also one of our most popular. And this is really thinking about our government, thinking about laws. I always try to design these badges based on either a temporary exhibit that we have at the museum or based on some kind of current event. So this one we did on Saturday was all about the upcoming election. We have an election coming in November, and it was a little bit less about the people running and a little bit more about what offices are we voting for and how do they impact our lives? How do they impact our laws? And I actually heard that Liv was involved with some of our programs. So what have you done with the museum? I want to hear.
So I haven't been back since they've remodeled. A ton of my friends have, and they've talked about like the beautiful butterfly. Like, yeah, that was incredible. But growing up, I went to because I'm Jewish, I did a lot of my elementary school and later on in middle school, participated a lot with them. So we did stuff about peer pressure. We learned a lot about how like the Holocaust began, because it didn't just they were teaching us, like the beginnings of like the fascism in Europe, and it was really interesting, and it really I feel like it really impacted my view of world, and I think it's made me realize how important voting can be.
I'm really glad that you were able to work with us, and I hope that you can come back and see the new expanded building too.
So now for our viewers at home, feel free to follow along. If you have any questions or ideas, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. We're looking to see how Girl Scouts at home can follow along during this activity we're about to do.
Yeah, so I've brought you something that we actually did over the weekend as part of Inside Government. So I've taken one of the activities for the Inside Government badge and adapted it just a little bit. So y'all willing to help me out? You want to try it?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. And for viewers at home, I want to hear your thoughts too. So put them in the chat. So here's this activity. We're going to be pretending that we are all the mayor of the very first town on the moon. We've got some important work to do. So we have to decide what laws and rights everyone on the moon is going to have. So I just want to note the difference between rights and laws is pretty fuzzy. But a basic way to think about this is a right is something that everyone is supposed to have, and it's supposed to be very difficult to change. A law is a little bit more like rules that people have to follow, and it's a little bit easier to change that. So think about the fact that in the United States, we all have the right to free speech. That's in the Constitution. It's a lot harder to change that. Versus a law is if you go out and get in a car and drive somewhere, you have to wear your seatbelt. That's a law. So tell me, what rights would you give people on the moon? What laws would you apply to people on the moon? I'm really interested. If any of our viewers have any ideas, drop them in the comments. I really want to hear what you come up with.
Yes.
So since that you've done this in the past, I'm just curious because what's really important to me that everybody has the right to vote. I mean, well, of course, 18 and up and all that. But I was curious is so when you're saying these laws have previous people have used the US copied a lot of these laws or have they gotten really creative and created their own?
So I get both. So I get a lot of stuff from the Bill of Rights, which I think is just evidence that the Bill of Rights is pretty awesome. But I get a lot of real creativity as well, really digging in and thinking about what's impacting our world and what's really important to people. So a good way to think about this activity is what's really important to you? What do you want to make sure is happening? So for example, I have girls who say, well, no doing bad things. That's great. How do you define a bad thing? In laws, you got to make sure that you tell me what's a bad thing. What I think is bad might not be what you think is bad.
Definitely. Well, go ahead, Liv.
I personally am very passionate about Martian marriage equality, so I think that needs to be in the Constitution. That's going to be very important.
All right, let's add that. I like that idea. I think that's really good.
To piggyback off that, then everybody gets the right to vote, including Martians.
I'm glad we're protecting aliens. I get this from girls a lot, and I really love that there's kind of this recognition of if we encounter other people or beings who are a little bit different from us, we want to make sure they're protected. I really, really love that. That's not like where my brain goes first. My law that I passed, I did this activity with people at the Holocaust Museum over the summer and caused a huge controversy because I banned onions on the moon. And I can see the different facial expressions. It's a very divisive issue. So I do not like onions. I am very famed in my family for not liking onions. But this
let's hear from our viewers. Let's hear from our viewers. How do you feel about the onion rule? Could you live without onions? I mean, I don't know. I put onions in a lot of my stir fry. Anything. I'm like, chop an onion, throw it in.
Also, space vampires are becoming a big issue in the past couple of years. It's important. They don't need air to live. They can just swim through. It's important.
So this was actually something that my coworkers talked to me about. So there was actually like an alliance that got together to defend onions, and they started doing research, and they informed me that garlic is a type of onion, which I did not know before this. And I'm like, well, I love garlic, so I guess I have to love onions now. So, and it really helped me understand though that, okay, so, you put onions in your stir fry, you use it a lot in your cooking. It seemed really unfair of me to completely limit what people are eating just because of a personal issue with me. Like other people eating onions does not hurt me. And so that's something that really is important when you're thinking about laws is, okay, yes, if something is objectionable to you, that doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be outlawed or that it needs to go away. We really need to be thinking about ourselves, but also about everyone else.
Well, we have something from a viewer. Rosenfeld says, I love onions on pizza. I like to ensure freedom of expression for all.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I think that's a really good point, Amy. Exactly. I love that analogy, what you said, including onions, just because we feel so strongly about something else. We also need to be thinking about putting ourselves in other people's shoes and how is my law going to affect my neighbor? And I think that is a great, just going back to the onion is a great analogy for that. I really like that.
And I really love this protecting freedom of expression. That's so, so important. It's really foundational to any kind of society that we're able to talk to each other, that we're able to have our own opinions and express them. So that's really awesome. Does anybody else have any laws or rights that you want to make sure? Put them in those comments. I want to hear about them.
Yes. And well, viewers at home, if you have any questions you'd like to ask Gold Award Girl Scout Liv or Amy from the Holocaust Museum Houston, be sure to drop them in the comments below. In the meantime, oh, it looks like we have one. Free ice cream on Sundays from Marcos.
Ice cream shows up a lot in these laws that I make.
I could get behind free ice cream on Sundays.
I could too. So, got a question for you, Amy. Why are organizations like HMH and the Gay Straight Alliance Live, started at our council, important right now?
Well, I've always thought of civic engagement and civic responsibility as really about thinking beyond yourself, not just thinking about your hatred for onions, right? But thinking about other people as well. So one of the lessons that we've learned from the Holocaust is that before that, people really retreated into themselves, and they were thinking about what was important to them, but not about how anything would impact their friend, their neighbor, their fellow citizen. And I think this is something that a Gay Straight Alliance is really important for, thinking about someone and a perspective besides yourself, and also advocating for other people who may not share entirely the same experiences, but that's so, so important to make sure that all of our rights are protected.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I don't know if you know this, and I might have my facts a little wrong, but I believe it was 2 years, but I know it was definitely before. The Girl Scouts have always been a part of civics. We actually had civics engagement badges 2 years before women were granted the right to vote. So I think it's so I think that's an incredible that Girl Scouts have always been pushing for civic engagement. And but I love that. That was a great answer. And now I have a question for you, Liv. In organizations like Gay Straight Alliance, why is it important to have members who identify as allies, even if they don't consider themselves LGBTQ?
So in a lot of spaces, whether that's a classroom or even the government, there isn't that much representation of LGBTQ people and of like their needs in general. So it's important, to have a voice in there so that like our needs and things that are important to the community are being met. Because things have gotten a lot better. I know that like 20 years ago I wouldn't be up here, but there's still a long way to go, and a lot of times that has to come from people who aren't part of the community, because you're more likely to listen to someone who you relate to, and that might make it a little bit easier.
Well, I think that's all the questions we got today from our viewers. I know more. This will be able to stream, so on and on. So if we get more, we'll definitely let you guys know. So once again, we'd like to thank both of our guests, both Gold Award Girl Scout Liv and Amy Frake from the Holocaust Museum Houston. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. This was a really great experience.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
And remember to be sure to check out the Holocaust Museum's Houston's page for any upcoming news, and be sure to follow their education department with their handles below.
Be sure to keep an eye out on the activities page, as well as for registration for Liv's Gay Straight Alliance interest meeting taking place later this month. Registration should be open by Friday. So register, join us on Saturday, the 26th.
Thank you so much, ladies, again for joining us today.
Yes, I'm Heather.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm Joya, yours in Girl Scouting. Bye.
Bye.